Saying that it feels right.
Hey guys, welcome back for another Clash Royale video. So in today's video we will be having another returning guest, which is Noro, playing 2.6 again, and this time he reached 8k. So a huge congrats to him, and yes, 2.6. So yeah, without further ado, don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and don't forget to follow Noro. He does have a Twitter, link will be in the description. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into our first replay. Okay, on to our first game against everyone's favorite deck, Goblin Drill. But I believe this guy is playing Miner instead of the Goblin Drill, but he's just getting tired of it, so yeah, he switched to Goblin Drill. And Noro is on the top of our screen, and he's playing 2.6, so he's gonna support the Ice Golem with Skeletons, and he's gonna play Hog. Now Cannon to defend against the Goblin Drill. The Ice Spirit will try to freeze, and the Ice Golem comes down for the Goblins. Now Fireball comes down for the Ice Golem as well as the Cannon. And now Noro's going to pressure opposite lane with Hog as well as Skeletons. The opponent's going to respond to it with Bats and Skeletons of their own. I don't think he will respond to this because he don't need to. And yeah, both players are on even elixir right now, and yeah, just chilling. So it's actually very hard for Noro to consistently defend the Goblin Drill. I mean, he can't make a mistake or else it's just done for him, because it's very hard to come back from a disadvantage against Goblin Drill. That's how you say it, probably. Now Ice Golem to kite the Dark Prince, and Hawk to pressure. Now Lock for the Goblins, Fireball comes down for the Musketeer, and Ice Spirit for the Tesla so that the Hawk could survive and go on to the tower. The opponent didn't resort to Skeletons because he just wanted to save elixir, I believe. So yeah, Noro got a damage advantage right now, and there's 20 seconds left before entering double elixir, so I believe Noro will try to pressure with Hawk every single time the opponent goes in too aggressively. That's usually how 2.6 is played. And then speaking of which, Noro is going in with a Hog as the Ice Golem right now, and it forced out a Goblin Drill from the opponent, which is pretty good. Now Cannon as well as Skeletons and Ice Spirits are played just to cycle a little bit, and then Ice Golem to tank and back to another Hog again. But this time the opponent does have the Tesla and the Skeletons for the Hog. But Noro is sitting very nicely with a 900 health advantage. Cannon in front of the tower, okay, just tank for the Dark Prince, I believe. And now the Ice Golem will tank for the Cannon as well. Skeletons to distract the Goblin a little bit, and Lock comes down for the Goblins. Meanwhile, the opponent plays a Tesla, and Noro is starting to Fireball cycle the tower of the opponent. Okay, because the opponent's Fireball cycling on his own tower, so that's why he did that, I presume. And now he's gonna cut it. I mean, he's gonna tank with Ice Golem again. Ice Spirit comes down for the Bat, and Hawk will actually go back for the Goblin Drill, which is pretty unfortunate. A Lock comes down for all the Goblins as well as the Dark Prince, and the opponent is slowly chipping away at Noro's tower, so he has to start Fireball cycling, or else he would be down a lot of damage in the end. And now a Musketeer is played by Noro. Ice Golem to tank again. A Hawk to predict the Tesla, which is pretty nice. And now the opponent's gonna play arrows, probably predicting something. But Noro just played a Lock for the Goblins, and now he's gonna wait a little bit and then Fireball cycle again. Skeletons to distract the Spears. He's probably gonna just set up another Cannon layer, and he's gonna defend his opponent's pushes and applying pressure at the same time with Hog. So that's his game plan. Okay, and now he's gonna defend with Skeletons, but it does get predicted by the opponent, and the Goblins will actually get some damage in, which is pretty unfortunate for him. And he's now leaking elixir, and he plays another Cannon up high, and the opponent cycle back to another Goblin Drill. Fireball as well as the arrow comes down for the opponent, but a Lock will finish off the Goblins, and Ice Golem to tank, Fireball cycle onto the tower. So it's actually getting pretty close right now. There's only 400 health separating each other. Fireball comes down once again, and the cannon will lock onto the Goblin Drill and lock for the Goblins again, and a Fireball is played. So Noro just has to cycle back to 2 Fireballs and he will win the game, which is fairly easy because you're playing 2.6, which is one of the fastest cycle decks in the world. Now I was going to tank for the Goblins and Skeleton to strike as well. So yeah, just buying some time before the Fireball comes down. So a very nice game against Goblin Drill. Yeah, everyone's favorite deck. Okay, on to our next game against WEDV. I believe that's how you pronounce the name. And he's playing Icebow, which is also one of the hardest matchup for 2.6 because the opponent has the Tesla as well as the NATO. So it's challenging to break through, to say the least. So Noro is going to cycle stuff like usually, like how 2.6 usually played. I don't think he knows what the opponent's playing though, so, or maybe he does because he cycled Ice Golem in front instead of at the back. Fireball for the Ice Wizard because it's value right now to cycle Ice Wizard, to cycle Fireball on Ice Wizard. Hog onto the X-Bow. It's probably gonna distract with cannons and skeletons and stuff, and probably Ice Spirit. Okay, the opponent tries to predict skeletons, which actually failed, and Ice Golem to pull the Valkyrie as well as tanking the X-Bow, and a lock comes down hitting the E-Spirit as well. So yeah, a pretty nice trade for Noro, and he's still up damage, which is fairly important because I've had some experience with Icebow myself. In the end, you just have to defend and just rocket cycle. So taking a bunch of damage early on will actually help for the 2.6 players most of the time. So yeah, it's actually very good for Noro right now, and he's gonna play a Hog surprisingly, but I think he's trying to cycle back to another one, so that's why he played it. And he's still up Elixir though, so he can do whatever he wants. Maybe he's just gonna cycle and maybe log onto the tower. And yeah, getting as much chip damage as you can because that's the only way you could win against Rocket Cycle. But if the opponent went in like too aggressive, and he might lose. And that Ice Golem was to bait the opponent to play Tesla. The opponent didn't fall for it at first, but yeah, Noro just thought it was safe, and then he went in with the Ice Golem. I mean the Hog. Now he's gonna cannon to tank for the X-Bow. He's probably gonna play Hog opposite lane. Yes, he does. And Musketeer comes down to try to DPS down the Valkyrie, and he's probably gonna play cannon, which gets tanked by the Ice Wizard. Now he's gonna play Cycle cards to tank for the X-Bow, but the opponent nados them away, and the X-Bow will get some damage in, which is very important for the opponent. Fireball comes down. Okay, the opponent played an Ice Wiz, and the Hog will get a shot, which is pretty huge, and that puts Noro back to the lead. Noro tried to predict the X-Bow, but he failed because the opponent knew he would do that, so he played a defensive X-Bow himself. And now he's gonna play it very safe by playing Musketeer at the back because the opponent can't really rocket the Musketeer if he wants to win. So he starts rocket cycling, which is very bad for Noro if he doesn't get damage like quick enough. Because the opponent can just defend for the last 2 minutes and still win. Because the opponent has NATO as well as Tesla, but the opponent decides to go in with X-Bow and Valkyrie. I don't think that was a good play though. You should try to defend, and then yeah, just make sure nothing happens. And Fireball comes down, and the Hog still surviving as well as the Musketeer. Lock comes down, and the Musketeer will actually get a shot, bringing down the tower to 937. So Noro is getting closer and closer to its Fireball cycling, and yeah, the opponent's giving good luck because against a skilled 2.6 player, it's actually very hard to break through now, especially when they have the lead. Ice Golem in front to tank for the Musketeer, and now it's probably gonna play a Hog to counter the X-Bow, but the opponent played a prediction rocket, which was pretty nice until it wasn't. And now Musketeer will target onto the Ice Wiz, unfortunately. And now the X-Bow is still surviving though, so he still has to play an Ice Golem and a cannon to tank. Most likely, if Fireball comes down for hitting everything, now he's just lock cycling because there's nothing the opponent can do. and there's only 30 seconds left, so Noro just has to defend and not let the icebow connect onto the tower, and he starts to fireball cycle himself. He just needs another fireball and he logs that would seal the deal, and maybe another log or another fireball, because I don't think that was enough. But yeah, there's only 10 seconds left, and he's just spell cycling and making sure the icebow isn't connecting onto the tower. So yeah, a very nice game against a very hard matchup. Okay, on to our next game against Qwerty.exe, who's playing RG. The opponent doesn't play the cage though, he plays the E-Spirit version of RG. So against RG, if you don't know what you're doing with 2.6, then it's actually pretty hard for you to defend. I mean, if you know how to play against it, it's actually very easy, but we'll still have to see. Now Skeleton's tank for the Dark Prince, and now it's probably gonna play Hog to pull Dark Prince back. Okay, he didn't. Yeah, that was what I was saying. If he played the Hog to pull it back, then he wouldn't have suffered the splash damage from the Dark Prince. But I guess he didn't want to he didn't want the opponent to activate King for free, so he's gonna pressure with Ice Golem. Notice that, because he doesn't want the opponent to activate King easily. So a fireball as well as Fisherman is played, but the Hawk still managed to get a shot, so that's pretty huge. So any damage for Hawk players are very important. Now, is the opponent going to predict lock though? Okay, it's not. Instead, it's just gonna it's just gonna go with RG at the back, and Noro is gonna play Musketeer. That's one of the main defenses you have to play against RG, and Ice Golem to tank against potential threats like Dark Prince or Fisherman. Now Mother Witch is played trying to predict skeletons or something like that. Fisherman to pull the Hog, and now Fireball comes down for the RG as well as the Mother Witch. Still has to deal with the Dark Prince though. Okay, he misses the pull with the Ice Spirit, which is pretty important. The opponent's getting a lot of damage, not gonna lie. And bringing down the tower to 1084, that is not good. Ice Golem to tank for the Fisherman, and the opponent is still up Elixir. If he wants to, he could go in right now, but it seems like the opponent didn't count Elixir, so Noro escaped. And now he's gonna pressure with Hog, because he knows that the opponent doesn't have Fisherman in cycle. The opponent has to spend 7 Elixir for the Hog, which is only 4 Elixir. But the RG will actually get a shot though, bringing down the tower to 740. And now he's gonna apply pressure again with Hog as well as the Ice Golem to tank. Fireball comes down for the Mother Witch, and Fireball is played onto Noro's Hog, but the Hog still managed to got a lot of damage actually, and closing down the lead to 300. And now he's gonna do the same thing again, which is Ice Golem and Hog. So Ice Golem is very vital in those pushes, because or else the opponent is gonna get a lot of value with the Fisherman. And yeah, if you're playing 2.6 and you're suffering a lot against the RG, so you might want to try to do that, which is Ice Golem in front of Hog every time you push or you pressure. So yeah, very nice game against RG. Okay, on to our next game against Sepper, or maybe Sepper. Not too sure. He's playing Giant Double Prince, and I think it's Giant Double Prince is a tricky matchup, I would say, because if the opponent gets a lot of damage with the minor, then it's basically GG. So Noro's gonna start cycling stuff on the right side, because the opponent went in with Fireball on the left side, and the opponent decides to go in with Giant on the right side, and Noro just presses opposite lane with Hog, and the opponent responded to it with a Prince. It's probably gonna play Cannon and then Skeleton's pull, something like that. Okay, so the opponent tried to win it with Prediction Zap, which failed. Now Ice Spirit to buy some time for the Cannon, and now the Giant will actually go to waste with the help of the Musketeer. Okay, the question is Noro will try to go in with Hog or not? Yes, he will. So he's gonna go in with Hog, and the opponent plays a Dark Prince for the Musketeer and allowing the Hog to connect. Meanwhile, the Mega Man is DPSing it down. So the opponent tries to play a Minor to tank but Dark Prince went in front. And now the cannon won't do much actually, and he still has to play an Ice Golem for the Mega Minion. So I wouldn't say this is a bad trade for the opponent, and he's up Elixir like a lot, and he's gonna giant at the back. And let's see how Noro will defend against this push, because the opponent is up a lot of Elixir, not gonna lie. Like 5 Elixir, something like that, which is a lot. Now he plays a Musketeer lock to kill the charge, and Skeletons to buy some time, as well as the Ice Golem. Meanwhile, the cannon as well as the Musketeer are DPSing down everything. Lock for the Prince, allowing the cannon to target onto the E-Wiz, but the Dark Prince still got some splash damage in, and the Miner is hammering away at the tower, and he just decides to let it go and plays Hog. The Hog will connect for 1 hit, which is pretty huge. Now the opponent's back to another giant. Skeletons to buy some time for the cannon again, and a lock comes down to tank. Ice Golem to tank, and now another cannon split. So Miner will get answered by the cannon, which is pretty okay. Now it's gonna pressure with Hog again, because the opponent doesn't have much elixir when they went in so aggressively. So Noro is back to the lead, and the cannon will finish off the E-Wiz, which is pretty nice. And now he's cycling back to another Hog, potentially. Okay, no, he's gonna set up defenses with a Musketeer and the cannon probably. Now Ice Golem to tank again, Miner onto the Musketeer by the opponent. Okay, Noro won't try to protect it with Skeletons or anything like that, because the opponent could easily zap, and would be bad news for Noro. And Hog to pressure again, Ice Spirit to pull back the Mega Minion, and Ice Golem to tank. And the opponent has to spend quite a lot of elixir just to defend the Hog, so it's actually pretty okay for Noro to defend like that. And Skeletons to protect the Musketeer, and he's gonna pressure with Hog again most likely. Yes, he does. And the Hog only has to get a shot to secure the dub, which the Hog get 2 shots. And so yeah, that was a pretty nice game against Giant Double Prince by Noro. Okay, well, on to another RG replay, and this time around the opponent will play the lightning version instead of the fireball. But I think Noro will still do more or less the same thing, which is cycling Musketeer to defend and applying pressure with the Hog alongside the Ice Golem to tank for the Fisherman. So now Noro is cycling stuff, and the opponent wasted a Fisherman for the Ice Spirit, so Noro can actually go in with Hog if he wants to. But I think the opponent knows what Noro is playing right now, so he decides to go in with RG, and Noro goes in with Hog himself just to pressure, and Skeletons will get locked by the opponent, which is a very nice play. And Noro will play a lock to mitigate the RG's damage. And meanwhile, the Musketeer will get a shot onto the left tower, and Ice Golem to tank for the Dark Prince. So the RG still manages to get a lot of damage in. And now it's up to Noro to get back the lead. And is he gonna play a Musketeer at the back though? That's the question. Okay, he's gonna pressure with Hog, despite not having the Ice Golem, and the opponent's gonna activate King with that. And it's probably gonna play Ice Spirit for the Mega Minion, and the opponent's gonna play RG at the back. Noro plays a Musketeer at the back as well. So Musketeer is actually very important on the defensive end, because the DPS is her DPS is a lot. And now the opponent plays a Mother Witch, and Noro pressures the opponent with another Hog, because the opponent is not back to another Fisherman yet. And the Musketeer will actually target onto the Mother Witch, which is pretty nice. Now Ice Spirit to freeze the Dark Prince and Skeletons to distract a little bit more, or maybe Ice Golem. Okay, Skeletons comes down, and the opponent cycles a Mega Minion, anticipating a Hog, which the opponent plays in RG at the back, and the opponent's gonna lining onto everything Noro played, but the Hog still surviving and gets a shot, a pretty big shot, and the opponent is laughing because he spent actually quite a lot of elixir on that, and yeah, the Hog still manages to get a shot. So yeah, it's actually very frustrating for the opponent. And now he's gonna do the same thing again, pressuring while defending against the RG, because the opponent doesn't have much elixir if he wants to support, which the opponent doesn't do that, because he would have lost already if he does that. And now Ice Golem to tank for everything, and a lock comes down for the Dark Prince as well. Skeletons to distract a little bit more, and the opponent's gonna go in with RG at the back, so that was a feisty play by the opponent. And is the Hog gonna get a shot though? Yes, he does. And man, Nacho, I feel bad for you, man. That is the Hog thing. Sometimes it's just not enough. Now skeletons will get predicted by the opponent's Mother Witch, but another Musketeer comes down and Fireball comes down for the Mother Witch as well. The RG will only get 2 shots compared to the opponent's left side tower. It's actually not that much. And Noro can just spell cycling if he wants to, which is what he does. And he's gonna stab the defenses for the opponent's RG. Ice Spirit tank for the Dark Prince, freezes it up a little bit. Okay, the opponent's gonna play Lightning onto the Musketeer though, so I don't think it was a good play, but the opponent has to try something to win, right? But at this point, there's not really much the opponent can do, because we're entering triple elixir right now, and Noro can just spell cycle at his will, which is what he does, and he's back to another Fireball and soon another lock. So yeah, another nice game against RG. So it was pretty close in the end though, not gonna lie, because Noro was cycling and the opponent knew that he tried to win it with RG, but it was not enough, because yeah, it's Noro. So yeah, very nice game against RG, a very close one. Okay, on to our last game against Dark Angel, who is a top 8 CRL finalist as well, and he's playing the old meta Mega Knight Graveyard. So let's see how Noro will deal with that. And Mega Knight comes down for the Hog, and making the Hog to change its direction, and he's gonna play a cannon. Probably gonna try to activate King with the Ice Spirit, most likely, and the opponent plays a Fireball and a very patient Ice Spirit by Noro that will activate King for him, and that would help a lot when Noro is defending against Graveyard. So the Hog will actually manage to get 2 shots, and now he's gonna play Lock and Skeletons to distract Dark Prince, most likely. Ice Spirit as well. Okay, the Dark Prince actually splashed onto the tower, which is yeah, the Dark Prince thing. Like, you thought it wouldn't connect, and then just bam, you know. Now Fireball onto the Bomber. Okay. Now he's gonna play Cage. The opponent's gonna play this very slowly and try to make a big push, but Noro's not gonna let him do so, obviously, because it's very hard to defend against big pushes, right? And it's gonna apply pressure with the Hog, and the opponent's gonna take a lot of damage, and decides to play Mega Knight. Now Skeleton's tank for the Mega Minion. Cannon split as well. Musketeer DPS it down even more. A second Ice Golem is back to Noro's hand, and he's gonna play it. The King Tower, as you can see, helped up a lot on the defensive end. And if he wants to, he can pressure opposite lane. Yes, he does. So he didn't win with Hog on the right lane because I don't know, he just didn't want counter push on the right lane probably. Now he can just lock and then Skeletons onto the Brawler. And he is very close to back to another Hog, and if he wants to pressure, he can do that, but I don't think he will. So he's gonna go in with Ice Golem in front just to tank for the Musketeer. Now he's gonna pressure opposite lane with the Hog, and it's actually looking very scary on the left lane, but Noro has everything under control with the Ice Golem and the Musketeer DPSing down everything, and Skeletons to pull the Brawler. And he can go in with a Hog if he wants to, which is what he does, and probably okay, the Hog will still get a shot, so yeah, that's pretty huge, like always. And a cannon set up by Noro, so the opponent will try to go in with Graveyard, and like I said, the King Tower will actually help a lot on the defensive end. So yeah, it's basically GG for the opponent, like Noro's caliber. because yeah, he's like he's an AK player, so you don't expect that much mistakes from him. And he's playing 2.6, which is a very hard deck to play, and if you want to have success like Noro, you have to play a lot, which I think Noro did. And now he's gonna defend again. The Mega Knight pushes, and he's gonna play Hog to pull while applying pressure at the same time. That's what 2.6 players usually does, which is applying pressure while defending, because the opponent will actually go in too aggressively and don't have the elixir for the Hog, and usually the Hog players will win just by that. And it's spell cycle range, and Noro's just gonna spell cycle, and he's gonna cycle back to another log. So yeah, very nice game against Dark Angel. Okay, so I want to thank Noro for coming onto the channel again, and congrats to him for reaching 8K last season. And don't forget to follow him on Twitter. He does have a Twitter, like I said that probably a million times already, so link will be in the description. And he's playing 2.6, so yeah, that is on the screen. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.